This is the 415ers podcast brought to you by the Odyssey Sports Podcast Network with 95.7 The Game. That's Marc Grandi. I'm Evan Giddings. We're coming at you twice a week. Please download the Odyssey app, rate and subscribe to us while you are there. Also, check out our YouTube videos on the 95.7 The Game YouTube channel. Subscribe and like while you are there. Mark, well, we may not know what we have in Trey Lance. The 49ers might, although I find that very difficult to believe. But what they do believe they have in Brock Purdy is something that was articulated by another 49ers quarterback, and a good one at that. Alex Smith was up in Lake Tahoe, and I believe he sat down with Matt Maiocco, NBC Sports Bay Area, on 49ers Talk, and had a couple of things to say about what Brock Purdy does have, and here's what he had to say.
Between your ears, you got to be able to process a lot fast. There's not a great way to quantify that yet. Right. I mean, there's in our interview process and the combine and all the weird tests you take. They haven't really found a great way to quantify that. And I think Brock showed he's got it right between the ears. Like, it's not too big for him.
And this is a guy that immediately.
I mean, this is a guy I know didn't get many reps in training camp. Yeah. Finally got backed up to number 2, so he's running scout team. You're still not getting many reps, and then to step in and just operate the way he did, it wasn't too big. You could see him dial in, and I know in that system there's a lot on the quarterback's plate from a processing standpoint. I think he showed enough that absolutely he's got it. And again, height, 40, arm strength, like that stuff really is secondary at the NFL level, and I think he's got the things that you're looking for to win sustainably. And again, accuracy, timing, and processing, number one.
He's got it. That was the sentiment from Alex Smith. He's got everything between the ears necessary to be not only a good quarterback, but it sounds like one that he believes can take the 49ers for the next couple of years back to where they were last season, which was the postseason and a deep one at that. What did you hear from Alex Smith, the former 49er?
Well, it's kind of funny. The first thing I thought of when he's talking about, the processing time and, how quick he can react, and the fact that he's not overwhelmed by the system, and it's a really tough system, and he processes it so quick. You can throw out, the physical measurements. How far can you throw? How fast did you run the 40? How tall are you? All of that thing. What immediately popped into my mind was a conversation we had early in the offseason, or maybe it was even during the season, about the S2 cognition tests. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
When Brock Purdy, it came out and Purdy was like the elite of the elite at this, the similar level of, I don't even remember what names were up there, like a Drew Brees was up there, who's similar in stature, relatively short for a quarterback like Brock Purdy. That's where my mind first went. And, we kind of shrug off those S2 cognition tests, at least for now, until we get a little bit more evidence. But hearing it come from Alex Smith, who doesn't have firsthand experience playing for Kyle Shanahan, obviously was a 49er, but well before Kyle Shanahan's tenure with the 49ers. But obviously the Shanahan system is well known throughout the NFL. Hearing this from a veteran quarterback who didn't have, the elite physical tools to rely on, similar to a Brock Purdy, I would argue, I think it's really encouraging because it kind of checks out, I think, also with what I saw from Brock Purdy, in the sense that the Brock Purdy, you step in, what do you expect a rookie quarterback, even if you are incredibly physical? Say you're Anthony Richardson, who was drafted by the Colts, probably one of the most physical quarterbacks to come out of college in a really long time. He has incredible arm strength. He is built like a Mack truck. He is incredibly strong, physical, can throw the ball a mile, can throw it 90 miles an hour. He's an incredible specimen. That's not Brock Purdy. That was not Alex Smith. When you don't have that to rely on, and even when you do have that to rely on, what do you expect a rookie quarterback to do when they first get their chance? You expect them to be overwhelmed by all of the information that you're asked to process, both on an offensive side, what you're calling. Do you know every play in the playbook? Do you know where all your receivers are supposed to be? Can you command the huddle and tell, your star tight end, George Kittle, your star wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, later on, your star running back, Christian McCaffrey? Can you tell them where they're supposed to be on any given route? Can you see what the defense is playing? Are they playing cover 2? Where's the nickel in this whole, are they man-to-man, or are they playing zone? It's so much information to process, and I think it's only more complex running a Shanahan scheme. So the fact that Brock Purdy didn't feel overwhelmed, and this is my mind, that's kind of what it looked like to me. But to hear Alex Smith say the same thing and to confirm the thoughts I had watching Brock Purdy, I think it's a giant plus in his on his side, because this is a guy who you expect to improve, and the fact that he was able to pass all of those tests as a rookie, and that's what stood out to a fellow quarterback in this league. I think it's a giant boon for Brock Purdy. Obviously, it's not going to affect his play, but just to get that kind of compliment, saying he has it between the ears, I agree, and to hear it from him, means a lot to me, in my opinion. So I think this kind of reinforces my belief in Brock Purdy, again, not as a physical specimen, but just as a guy that's able to handle these wild sorts of environments in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, immediately Brock Purdy was impressive with just his ability to dissect opposing defenses, and you could just tell he knew where the ball was supposed to go right from the jump. I mean, I think his very first game he came in against the Miami Dolphins, there was a 3rd and 8 in the second half, and the Dolphins bring a zero blitz. So there's essentially man to man. You got to get that ball out quick. There's a free guy coming off the edge, and he immediately identifies George Kittle open over the middle, hits him for a first down. And that was the first time I saw a throw from Purdy. I was like, that's an NFL throw. That's a big league play. And he made plenty of those throughout the season. Now, the one thing that you kind of touched on towards the end, which I think is maybe the biggest question for me this year, is the physical stature. Brock Purdy right now is listed at, I think, 6'1", 225. I'm going to need to see that in real life this year. And also to hear someone like Alex Smith, who was a pretty large quarterback. Like, that's one thing that I don't think we give quarterbacks enough credit for, is just their ability to remain tough and physically fit throughout an entire now 17-game season. Like, if you had to guess how many of the 14 seasons that Alex Smith, standing 6'4", 225 pounds, was fully healthy for, so played 15 games or more, how many seasons do you think he was healthy for, Mark?
Mine. I would say
14.
Out of 14,
not including the 2 cut short by injury, in which he had a shoulder, and then of course his catastrophic leg injury.
God, I don't know, 7, half of them, 6,
Ding, ding, ding,
7,
half of them. Half of the seasons that the former number 1 overall pick, and a pretty sturdy quarterback at that, primarily a pocket passer, could use his legs and could run, but primarily working for the pocket. He was fully healthy for half of his 14 seasons. Brock Purdy is a smaller quarterback in my mind. He is one that plays outside the pocket a little more in my mind. I'm not just comparing him to Alex Smith. I'm saying in general, I want to see Purdy win from the pocket more this season. And I want to see him in less harm's way than he was last season. A lot of that I don't think was on Shanahan. I think it was that elusiveness and that quick twitch in Brock Purdy's brain that told him he could get an extra second out of a play to be able to extend, to make a big play down the field, to continue to look for those chunk plays. And that is what I think also was maybe a reason why he got hurt during the NFC Championship game. I wonder how much that singular play, along with some that almost were disasters, will factor into that quick decision-making that made him so elite in his first season under center. I wonder if that will continue to carry with him now in his sophomore season.
It's almost a little bit of overconfidence that kind of got him not into trouble, but it got him into some places where he could have sustained some injuries. I don't think the actual injury he sustained was one of those. That was just more of a freak play in the NFC Championship game where he had a runner running up to him and he was just in the pocket trying to get the ball off. That happens. It's unfortunate. But was it the playoff game against the Seahawks where he made that wild scramble left, spun back right, pump faked, got away from a guy, and then threw to Ayuk in the end zone for what would have been the highlight of all highlights if Ayuk had caught it? He took a lick on that play after he released that ball as well. I think it's some of those moments that probably scare Kyle Shanahan. And I'm sure he has seen the tape of that play. And while it's incredible that he got the throw off, I think a big point of emphasis for the 49ers this offseason for Brock Purdy specifically is not necessarily always play it safe. Don't be super conservative, but just be smart about this because, the argument is, hey, Brock, if you stayed healthy, we could have won the Super Bowl last year. How wild would that have been? You as a rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, we could have done it last year if you stayed healthy. You are the key to our season. That's the message for the 49ers to Brock Purdy. Play it smart. You don't, take chances here and there. Yes. Don't take chances that are going to potentially get you hurt. And I know it's really simple to say, but when you're in the moment like that, a guy as confident as Brock Purdy, who has some athleticism, he showed it all his rookie year. He can, extend plays. He can use his legs. He's got some spin moves in him. He can get away from tackles. But for a team that is as talented on offense as this one is, you don't need Brock Purdy to break out the Patrick Mahomes spin shovel pass in traffic. You don't need your quarterback to do that to be good. So I think that's the message. You're onto something there. That's the message for the 49ers to Brock Purdy, at least one of them. It's, hey, let's be smart about this because we saw what happened when you went down last year. If that happens again, we're probably in trouble again. You are the key. Where you need to take a step forward is making sure you're not putting yourself in a position to get hurt.
Yeah, what could be his greatest strength last season might have been his greatest. It was his weakness. So who knows? We'll be sure to keep an eye on that. But